Good day, everyone, and welcome. I am a project manager here. I have been a project manager for a while, and my greatest pleasure is interacting with other people who not only find the value in project management, but find the value in collaborating and finding new ways of doing business and opening up ways of working together and having fun while we thrive. Yes, I have been teaching project management and helping people prepare for the project management professional certification for over a decade. I've seen changes in the profession as well as the business industry. And it's been fascinating to watch how both business and how we as project managers have transitioned as the cultures and the environments of our companies have. It's a treat to be in the front seat of seeing all of this wonderful stuff happen. One of the things that I will be doing throughout this whole session is answering questions. Real quickly, how is a PMP beneficial for engineers or any professional? I'm going to pull up Notepad to highlight some very important concepts, and you'll see Notepad pop up here real quickly. Even before I get into the material, project management, okay? Project management is nothing more than the management of work that is unique and time-bound. If some of your work has never been done before, if some of your work has a definite start and end, what you'll find with project management and with the credential is a very structured and organized way to manage and deliver this work, even though it's never been done before. And it integrates very important concepts: quality, risk, leadership. It engages you with executive management as well as your project team. It standardizes a culture and an approach. We're talking about a very rigorous form and level of statistical analysis and estimation, as well as a way to integrate variance analysis in all aspects of decision making within the process of creating something that's never existed before. So if that's your work, project management and the project management professional credential will assist you. Now, let's get back to the material. What we're really here to talk about: the project management professional credential, the PMP. We will talk about the value and both economic and non-economic components. We'll review the test, and I'm going to be using feedback from trainees who've gone on to take the test and get it easily within the first try. I work with, what is it? Let's see here. Easily between 75 and 125 people a month. And I keep in touch with many of them. And I enjoy the feedback from the people who take the test. That's what you're experiencing today. The ones who have actually taken the test within the last 3 to 4 weeks. The test requirements, what does it take to sit for this test? And again, I'll be providing you feedback from the people who have taken the test. I do have some feedback from trainers and what they have found their attendees. I've been doing this, like I said, since 2004. I've been preparing people for the test. I have not seen a deviation in what I'm presenting today for the most part, except for the salaries. And one thing I want you to think about throughout the whole thing, as we progress, both companies and project managers are asking us, trainers as well as the Project Management Institute, how can we get people who have more leadership, who are able to help with business decision making, who have the ability to take this skill with something that's never been done before and extract the value to move their business forward quickly. Project management is positioned to be that skill set. Okay, the test itself tests both your education and experience. You have requirements in studying project management. You also have requirements with experience. We'll go over that in a couple minutes. The test, however, also tests what I call competence. There are many situational questions that the test puts you in, and you're posed questions with very ambiguous information, just like a real-world environment, and you're asked to solve a problem. Now, on top of that, the other requirements are very rigorous. You are required to take an oath to uphold a level of ethics and professional conduct that's a little above what a normal job application and acceptance require you. Also, after you have your PMP, for as long as you want to have it, you need to continue to grow, continue to study, and continue to collaborate with other project managers. So it's not just a certification that you get. This is a credential that recognizes you as a professional. The test itself, 200 questions, 4 hours. So what does that boil down to? 1.2 minutes per test, per question. So all questions are multiple choice, 4 possible answers. And so you are in a very, you have a very specific time frame, and it adds a little bit of tension. However, it's not unmanageable. It's establishing and setting a regular pace. The test is also closed book. You go into a third-party proctored environment. You have none of your personal effects with you at the testing station. You're given a number 2 pencil with blank paper. You have a physical calculator, or you have a calculator on the screen. And that's basically what you'll be working with. It's you and the test. That's all. Now, it sounds a little daunting, but again, there is a method to everything. If you understand it, you have a credential along with your name that's recognized across the planet. So the Project Management Institute, or PMI, they host not only the tests and the questions, they do a lot of research on behalf of project management and project managers. They put out a salary survey. They had one just come out at the end of the year, 9th edition, and that's where I'm getting my monetary value. They also do a lot of surveys and research in order to understand the direction that companies would like project management to go, and the direction companies are going with the need for the skill set of project management. That's where I'm pulling my research, my data. First of all, let's talk about the financial value. This is one of the reasons why people get a PMP. Even in the United States, it's very well known that job applicants are filtered quickly by whether they have a PMP or not. In order to sit and take the PMP test, you need 3 to 8 years of project management experience. So having a PMP gives you that recognition. PMI has done the work of the company and validated that that person has experience. That means the median salaries are pretty nice, and over year over year, a person with a PMP can expect to have about a 5% salary increase. And this is from PMI doing this type of survey many, many years in a row. Now, that's the median salary, right? If you look at the upper 25% of the salary of the professionals, these are the people handling the major projects as well as decision makers with the project management skill set. They're running, this is global. This is not tied to any nation. If you do go to pmi.org, you can find this data, and you can actually look up your nation and find what the value is. Also, now that's project management. With a PMP, you can expect to be one of the 47% above this median, and this is a global salary expectation. This is not U.S. I have some U.S. numbers in the back of my presentation. But like I said, you can look up the nations, the various nations that you belong to for the survey results over at pmi.org. Now, there's also a differentiator. As you stay within the profession and grow, that gives another bump to that salary. 5 years is huge. Almost all nations, the PMP with 2 to 5 years in that position will give you an incredible salary increase. It's almost double in some nations. I was looking at the data and I was going, this can't be right. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Jen. So, non-monetary value is there as well. The pulse of the profession, the survey asked major corporations some questions. And these were corporations who have constantly stated that project management is one of their core capabilities and is the reason they're so competitive. Now, that's a big statement. That's saying that we hold this skill set in high value. And they're some of the most successful. And yet, they say only 67, about 2/3 of their projects are truly successful. First of all, think about that, 2/3. These are people who say we cannot keep our doors open without projects and project management. And they're only getting 2/3 of their projects right. To me, that says there's a lot of room for more project managers here and the discipline and skill that project management brings. On top of that, there are other non-monetary values. First of all, they understand project management. A lot of companies, if you are astute, will tell you in one way or another that they don't really understand project management and how to extract the value. But there are companies out there that do. These companies who, quote unquote, get project management, they are significantly more likely to invest in their employees. That means training. That means time to do things right. That means giving project managers competitive salary and authority and power to do what project managers know is the right way to get work done. And also, these companies understand standardized process. So, project management and the project management life cycle, the PMP tests you on something called plan-driven, where the scope, the budget, and the schedule are planned out as early as possible. And this means the requirements around that are explored, analyzed, and exposed in a very methodical, very calculated way. When you are investing $130 to $500 million in a project, you entrust that to the professionals and the employees who respect that the most, and this is the project manager. Now, on top of all this, okay, this is the key thing that I keep on seeing, and I've been watching this over the last 3 years. We were all seeing companies who are cutting back and not investing in their infrastructure or not investing in their people. They were trying to actually make as much revenue and profit as possible. However, in the area of project management, it seems to be a little bit different. They're asking more and they're willing to invest more in these type of people. These are surveys. These are the companies who are investing. So project management, it's evident why I'm seeing not just 6 to 12 people in my classes every month, but I'm seeing 20 to 40 to 50 people in the classes. And that's not enough project managers, guys. The companies every year are saying the same thing. And I'm seeing these very successful, very dedicated, very excited professionals getting into this. And companies keep on going back to Project Management Institute and say, we need more. You guys are doing a great job. We need even more. That's a big message for all of us. The test tests you on a set of skills for managing and directing work that's never been done before and that has a very specific start and end. Now, how do you do that? And what is the test? What are the experiences of the people taking that? That's what you came to hear about today. First of all, preparing for the test, there's a lot of memorization. There's a lot. If you don't memorize well, there's a lot of literature out there, and there's a lot of trainers like myself and companies like Simplilearn who collect best of breed. And they find out what works the best. How do you manage all this information? How do you prioritize information? There's also sources of material that give you guidance. The project management body of knowledge is only one piece. There are other pieces that trainers will provide you. And you know what the biggest piece is? The biggest piece is people collaborating, talking about this amongst professionals. The ability right now for students and people who are just studying project management to ask people like me is huge. Forums where we get together and we actually share information on a regular basis are becoming very prevalent. In fact, companies like Simplilearn are generating their own communities of experts. And that's why we have the ability to, and we have the opportunity to speak to people like you. The project management body of knowledge is the blueprint for doing projects. It's aligned with the ISO project management standard, and it follows a very rigorous methodology that's been in place for quite a while. It's PMI has been around since the late 1960s. The PMP certification helpful for software QA quality assurance. There's a huge standardized quality knowledge area, and it's built around the work of Deming and Sheward, if you guys know, as well as Joseph Jerome. Quality is conformance to requirements and fitness for use. So yes, it applies very directly to that topic. If you're in manufacturing and you've never done software projects, it's a kick in the pants, I tell you. So you think about companies that write software like video games. They write software, and it just thrills me to think about it. They actually put software in production when it's 70% complete. Think about Blizzard, the people who write World of Warcraft and StarCraft and all those, right? They actually put their software out in the public domain for their people who want to try it out. Production grade software is only 70% complete. Could you imagine doing the same thing with an automobile or a building? Yeah, oh yeah, and it's not only that, but the ability to apply quality management, risk management, the assessment, and the variance analysis, and all of the disciplines around we're doing things right, and integrating the components of number one, the leadership skill set required to manage these complicated endeavors, with connecting the value of your project back to the value that the company can extract immediately. One of the focuses on the test, and if you want to, at the end of this, we can start talking about how the test is changing right now, is the project manager's focus, not just on delivering something within time, it's never been done before, but also it's connecting that to a distinct business value and creating a very transparent traceability of that. You don't just sell a project. You go back and you validate that project is at least or more value than what you sold it as. Let me continue my discussion here. Okay, we have other considerations that make the test tricky. Many situational questions. You can imagine a test that says you have two senior engineers, and they come up to you and they say, we need help. We have to share the same software, and we don't have. We're arguing, and we need to solve this problem. How do you approach this as a project manager? What's the best way, and why is it the best way? It's these type of situational questions with very little information that you're required to figure these type of things out. Okay, I'll get back to that question in just a second. So, you have a blueprint, you have your personal experience, and how do you connect all those together? This is the job that makes this tricky. We all have learned that different organizations, different cultures, you can imagine a software company and a hardware company, a hardware manufacturing company. They will look at project management in a different mindset. And the blueprint, the PMBOK, is the standardization of how you do projects across all of these different environments. So you can imagine there's a little bit of work involved in translating and learning to build these intellectual conceptual bridges in order to integrate your experience in with the standard frameworks. That makes it a little bit tricky. And it's an investment in time. In doing any transition of projects, what would we need to focus on? And also, technology. How do you manage technology? And is project management a good technology management tool as you're working? And I assume you're talking about integration of technology in with the business. So we look at things, and you'll learn this as you prepare for the test, as not just tools. They're tools, processes, and procedures. We take a very integrated approach. Project managers and project management takes a very integrated approach. And we see, that cloud computing is part of a solution that includes not just the technology, but it has business components, and it has almost more important people components. So you have to take all of those into consideration, and you have to know how one impacts the other. If you talk about cloud computing and bringing cloud computing into a business process or a business environment, you can imagine that this, if it's not introduced, approached, and managed properly, it can cause a lot of very violent change in cultures, business and professional cultures. If they're not prepared for this, can experience a lot of violent. I'm not talking about physically violent, but very transformative violence, and things are going to be changing and ambiguous for a long time if not managed appropriately. This is where project management skill comes in, especially for new and emerging technologies. So what are the unique skills? We'll talk about that, and we'll get to that here in just a second. Actually, preparing for the test takes into account those skills. We'll talk about that. That's where we are now. First of all, before you take the test, you need to have some experience in project management. About 3.5 years, and in the last 8 years, you need to have documented proof of about 4,500 hours. If you have an undergraduate or graduate degree, if you have a 3 or 4 year degree from a university, it's 4,500 hours. And that means about 3.5 years You know, a third or more of your time you will have been doing work that's unique, never been done before, and is time-bound. But if you look at the work you're doing, business is changing so fast, so I guarantee you you're already working and you're leading activities on projects, and that's what's required to take this test. You also need 35 hours of some type of classroom training. That's why Simplilearn is here to, number one, provide documentation of that training, as well as bring people like myself in contact with you and help you understand the best ways of passing these tests. What does it take to prepare for it from an individual standpoint? An hour a night. If you ask a trainer to boil it down to one sentence, you'll be sitting down for about an hour a night for 6 to 8 weeks, studying, reviewing, and you're reviewing questions. You know, basically what happens is PMI creates a professional relationship with companies like Simplilearn, and they validate that the material, including practice test questions, are in alignment with the real test. And so one of the value is that you have access to this content, and you're reviewing the test questions and confirming that you have all this material covered. You can imagine then you're using both short-term and long-term memory. Short-term memory because there's a lot of questions that have to do with concepts and definitions, and then those situational questions, which are some of the most difficult, that experience alone will teach you. And that's, I get back to my point, connecting with other project managers, connecting with experienced project managers like myself, especially like what you're doing, asking questions, is one of the best ways to support your preparation for these tests. Now, the other thing is the test also looks at your ability to understand what the standards and your experience provide you. You have an analytical mindset. That's required as a project manager. One of the nice things is if you have questions, you have the ability to go out and get them. We all know that PMPs, again, take an oath to help you. And so anybody with a PMP will be an open book for questions, and they will be on their honor to help you answer them. This is the type of person who makes a good project manager, somebody who's willing to go out and dig into the details to find that answer. You will find yourself preparing for the test. You're hitting a very powerful concept for you, and you struggle with it, and you struggle with it, and then the light bulbs go on. You'll be doing this throughout your test preparation. This is the type of mindset that's required, not giving up. It's a determination to actually follow through on the technical as well as the non-technical questions you have about the skills and the knowledge of project management. Unique skills that make us different from other types of managers. The foundation of project management within the project management body of knowledge is a rigorous approach to studying, analyzing, and determining the best solution or the best option. It also provides a very strong and disciplined approach to change and change management. Successfully passing the first time. The test is not difficult. It's not difficult. It's tricky. If you prepare and if you methodically study and you have a plan, it's a lot easier. If you have short-term retention, if you're able to memorize, and there are ways to learn how to memorize better, it's a lot easier to take the test. Also, if you have a real reason to attain the PMP, if you have a business need, the business of you as an individual, if you run this preparation as a business, then you'll do this right. You'll prepare, and you'll be able to get your PMP well within 6 weeks. I found those type of students who have a real need to either transition out of their position or make themselves more marketable. These are the things. This is all common sense. If you just sit down and think about this, it's all common sense. Test takers, and this is in the last 3 or 4 weeks, this is the feedback I've gotten. No shortcuts. You do the work. There's no single silver bullet that a trainer can provide you. In fact, all of us come to this test from a different background, a different set of knowledge. So each one of us have to explore and determine our unique silver bullets for ourselves. And again, the test isn't hard, it's tricky. So you're under a time crunch, and you have to carefully analyze both the question and answer. And then you have to apply your knowledge and skills. So it's an environmental trickiness as well as knowledge and experience trickiness. One of the other things that these test takers have said is, as soon as you start preparing for the test, schedule it, make it real. We're coming back to that need drives success. This is the key. Make it real, and you'll actually drive your personal commitment to the investment, in time. Having a plan, again, making it real and following that. We're very good as project managers establishing a plan and the structure that supports following through and extracting value from the results of that plan. Use these skills as you're preparing for the test. That's what they all say coming out of it. And there are a lot of pieces. There are 47 processes that you're learning and how they fit together, and understanding how the big concepts across projects work. How does change work? What do I have to consider when I as a project manager am faced with a change to my project? How do I manage change without letting something fall through the cracks? So what I recommend, go out to the forums, find out what people are saying who have recently taken the test. Find out what people in your project management community, you work with a PMP. I know all of you do. Ask them the direct questions. How has a PMP changed their work? How did taking the PMP change how they approach project management? They'll say general things like, it exposed me to new skills like precedence diagramming and scheduling, earned value analysis, let's see here, change, quality, risk management, communications management, Procurement, purchasing. It helped me understand how purchasing works within a project, and contracts. All of these, it's not just the accumulation, but how they fit together to deliver something that's never been done before. Research this. Ask people these questions. Start initiation activities. Initiation is a group of processes that establish how feasible it is to do the project itself. Is this something that's good for you right this moment? And that's the big question. It's not, is this good for you? You can extract value from the project management skills right now, and it'd be great. It helps you in everything, your personal life as well as your professional life. However, is it right for you right now? And that's what these initiation activities will help you with. Understand how you as an individual learn. Like I said, there's a lot of memorization. So you should understand, are you a good memorizer, or do you need other strategies to help you more consciously apply memorization? Find your reason to pass the test. Not just take it, but pass it. Also, talk with us. Anybody with a PMP should be able to help you walk through these questions. Is it good for me to take this test now? Is it good for me to, is this right for me with my career goals and the direction I'm taking my professional work? Make a plan. Base your schedule and cost on your training needs. Evaluate. This is how much it's going to cost me. What am I going to get out of this? Build your business case. And if you establish that, it makes it more real. Include in your planning work-life balance. You're doing this for a reason. What's the business reason for doing this? And articulate it very crisply. This will allow me to have more control and more direction in my career. Things like that. Make these value statements for yourself. And also, in your plan, don't forget to add celebration in there. And this is, I sort of chuckled when I went through my workshop back in 2003 when the trainer said that, but it makes so much sense looking backwards and seeing the other people who did this. This is an endeavor, and you're marking a transition point in your career when you step up to take a test. This is a big thing. Celebrate. The more realistic you make your plan, the greater chance you'll succeed. This is all common sense if you sit down and think about it, and that's what project management is. You apply common sense. Reliable process trumps wishing and hoping every time. This is a guarantee. This has a broad and a very colored history, project management and the PMP, and it always leads back to the same thing. It's not hard. There's just a lot of detail. And by carefully wading through the detail and measuring and analyzing and following proper decision making, you'll have guaranteed success. That's all it is. There is a lot. These numbers come from the last half of last year. And you can see on the left graphic that although salaries across the United States may vary, they all trend in the same direction. This is very important. You can expect, no matter where you are, no matter which industry, no matter which nation, and I showed you that, you can expect the PMP will give you an opportunity for movement inside or outside your company, but also it continues. You know, as you retain your PMP, it will continue to add value. There's also not just project management. Project management is one of the professions around projects that companies are learning about. What about project directors? What about project management offices? What are these things, and how do you manage those within a company? And how does a company find them among leaders who are able to integrate these tools and skills into the business? Those jobs, you can imagine, are growing. And those positions are continue to be defined and the roles more understood as we progress. And those salaries at that leadership level, executive level, are also heightened by people with PMPs. That is cool. Let's see here. Here's contact information. You can always go to www.simplylearn.com as well. But again, as a training provider, Simplylearn touches a lot of people's lives. It works directly with companies as well as the public, like what we're doing today. Over 2,000 certified and experienced trainers like myself. If you go on to the public forums with Simplylearn, you have access to that training community across the planet. I'm just one of many guys, and I'm one of many disciplines. What about Agile? What about Lean and Six Sigma? What about IT Information Library? What about Prince and Prince 2? By the way, I'll answer that question in just a couple minutes. There is a very structured and a very well understood way we support the PMP credential. And I can talk about that as well. Understanding, applying, practicing, and assessing. Built on what? The Deming-Shewart cycle. Plan, do, check, act. QA guys, let's see here. Is PMP certification helpful? Yes. Yes. Again, the integrated component. It brings leadership skill, the business acumen, you know, the ability to take the project work and confirm and being able to extract business value, as well as make sure something's delivered on time within budget. According to the project management life cycle, transitional projects, again, highly integrating, and it's all about the people. When you're making change within a business, and you always reflect the change, not just with technology, not just with process and procedure, but people. With the major integration projects that I've handled, it's always evidence. You spend a year and a half, 2 years working with the culture of a company and organization in order to do this right. Let's see here. What are the unique skills that make us different? PMP unique skills. Again, there's a stress. There's a huge stress on assessment, on analysis. Plan, do, check, act. We actually understand. We ask questions. When you're studying the material, there's a big focus on asking why. And also focus on, once you understand, hey, we can apply this change to the project. It's not going to impact the schedule. And as a PMP, you learn, okay, not the schedule. How about cost? How about scope? How about risk? How about quality? How about all of the stakeholder requirements? And how do I tie all this together? How do I take an integrative approach to understand how change will impact and more project managers are asked to include in the stakeholders executive management. You know, the people who are establishing the vision that these projects support. What's the difference between PMP and Prince2? They don't both follow the same ISO standard, 21500, okay? Now, at that point, they take a little bit of a different approach. Prince2 has variations in levels. You can actually get an entry-level Prince2, which gives you an understanding about the project framework. Not directly leading and directing activities, but participating in projects. There's another credential that PMI has that covers this, the CAPM, which again is entry level, which proves that you have experience working on projects and you passed a less rigorous test. However, Prince2 has 4 levels, and they actually test and evaluate. It's not quite so situational as the PMP is. Those are the major differences. What's the PDU? After gaining PDUs, what's its validity? Well, first of all, you have to show a certain amount of education in project management in order to sit for the test. After you've sat and you've succeeded in the testing, you need to continue your professional development. And that's what we call, that's where the PDUs come into play, professional development units. And these are generally an hour of your time invested is 1 PDU. There are a lot of local Project Management Institute chapters. I'm certain there's one around you, and they provide access to these PDUs very economically. Some of them are free, and you're able to participate in these. And so you can actually attain these very easily by developing and demonstrating your expertise. Like what I'm doing today, I'm earning a professional development unit. I had to do the research. I have to present, and this actually qualifies as one of those type of events for me to gain it. And yes, there's incredible value in it. It forces you to continue to grow, and as PMI changes their test and the education requirement, you have inside knowledge on the direction the profession is being taken with all these corporations. They're asking us more leadership, more business understanding. So you can imagine in the next 2 to 5 years, you're going to see in the public domain a lot of focus on education and leadership as well as business management. Not much project management experience. To what extent does a PMP give me an edge for a more secure job? First of all, it gives you more access to job opportunities. It's very easy for companies to take a list of prospective employees and filter out all the non-PMPs. This is well known. This has been going on for the last decade. That's the first thing you need to consider. The second thing is it provides you a standard in leadership, in management. We're not talking about managing 5 or 10 or 50 people. It's talking about skill sets and knowledge and experience that manages the people who manage these teams. We're talking not just about entry-level management here, okay? That's the PMP, guys. And also, it's leadership, understanding how you integrate your visionary executive management participation in with the people who are doing the work. You're sitting in the middle of this mix of the people who have established the vision and the direction, the why, the people who have created the why of your projects, with your project team who creates the how. And as a project manager, you're balancing both of those. I know we're going over a little bit of the time, and I'll be here as long as I have questions going on. Do you need to renew your certification after a certain period? Yes. Every 3 years. And you renew by keeping track of these professional development units. You need 60 every 3-year cycle. It costs US dollars, it costs $60 to retain your credential every 3 years. But yeah, you basically have documented proof of continued education, training, and participation in project management. There's more details up on the website around the credential on that. What is a prerequisite for the certification exam? Let me put it up on the screen again. Here you go, left-hand side. 3 to 8 years leading and directing project tasks. About 4,500 hours. That means about a third to a half of your work is work leading and directing activities around something that's never been done before. The credential, and again, this is sort of funny, is the credential only for project managers. Most companies, I talked to a lot of my trainees across 2014, and at that point, it may be a little different now. At that point, the companies they represented, it seems like about 6 to 7 to 8 out of 10 companies did not have a job description or a job ladder for project managers. Actually, most people who were getting the PMP, even as recent as 2014, they didn't have project manager as their title. They were looking for something that tied leadership, business knowledge, and the ability to create something new within a certain amount of time, within a budget, all together. And that's what the PMP represents. So it's not just for project managers. What's a passing grade? My answer is yes. The test itself does not give you a passing grade. It's a trick. What they do is they evaluate you based on your answers, and they say, are you in groups of knowledge? Are you? I'll think of the word here in a second. I'm sorry. Do you have a level of capability and understanding? There's more information on that up on the website too. We can talk about that more. How do you resolve formulas in 1 minute? Well, first of all, there's ways to prepare for the test even as you're going through the test itself. And how do you keep these formulas in top of mind? A lot of it's short-term memory. The formulas we're talking about, how do you build a business case? How do you financially justify a project? It has to do with present value calculations. It has it incorporates cost versus investment in the project, those type of calculations. Also, if you're looking at variance to schedule, variance to budget, and then if you're forecasting, there's a few formulas around that. With a methodical approach, you can actually integrate this into your short-term memory. However, you're at risk because if you don't retain that memory, if you don't continue to keep memorizing this stuff, within 5 days, it's like exercise, it's gone. So it's a commitment that you're going to make across about 4 to 6 to 8 weeks by keeping this in your short-term memory. Again, we all know if you use something like this every day for 6 to 8 months, it's going to trickle in from your short-term to your long-term memory. What's the difference in the new test? That's a great question, guys. This actually is I touched on earlier. More focus on leadership aspects, more focus on the impact of the project to the business objective. Why are we doing this? And the project manager's participation. About 20 to 24% of the questions are going to be focused, and the answers will revolve around that mindset. You know, you're not just an entry-level project manager anymore. You're actually looking at supporting and participating in the vision of the project. That's what we're looking at. The other technical aspects that I've been talking about of project management aren't going away either. You know, nothing's going away. What we're seeing is these parts are being focused on, so the test is reflecting that. Is PMP or Agile more preferred? And the answer is yes. The project management professional focuses on something called plan-driven, where the requirements, the scope of the work, you know, the body of the work and the deliverable, as well as the details, are as crisp as possible up front. That being said, there are some types of work and there are some situations where you're going to embrace ambiguity. So the PMP teaches, and this project management approach teaches, that Agile as a methodology is very good in certain areas of project work where you have a lot of ambiguity and you have a lot of change. And not just transformative change, but you have a lot of very powerful change. We're talking about companies that are competitors collaborating on work. How do you manage these potentially devastating and these very delicate types of projects? That's where this level and this focus of project management applies. Yeah, and it's not a preference. It's actually understanding these different types of projects and understanding which methodology is the most appropriate. And it's not. I'm talking at the high level, right? Agile versus plan-driven. But it even trickles down to the individual activities. You as a project manager are expected to understand the details and how to extract the details out. You know, if I put the landscape in around the restaurant before I move the heavy equipment in, you know, is that going to force me to do the landscape twice? It's the ability to learn and integrate, you know, this type of thinking into everything you do. It's a very active approach. You know, dealing with people, dealing with technology, dealing with changing the way business works. I started working with data centers early on, and it was evident that you have to change the way people think about data first, and then you can start doing the project. You can imagine everybody having an external hard drive under their desk, and you're going into a company that's 150 years old with about 80,000 people like this and convincing them that centralizing their data is more secure, and it actually gives them a lot more freedom. That takes time. You know, you're changing cultures. And that's the level of project management we're talking about here with people who have PMPs. You know, it's the skill set of working with people and process and business, and it's like establishing, you know, a home base for humanity on Mars. That's the type of projects we're talking about, guys. It's not that huge and important in your day-to-day profession, but it's that mindset. And getting back to what I started saying, that's the value that companies have found with projects and project managers, especially those who invest in the credential, in actually attaining this foundational knowledge. We're here. Go over to Simplilearn and spend time with us there. Ask 24/7 support. Go over to community.simplilearn.com and ask more questions, both about Simplilearn and project management and the PMP. And all your questions will be provided to. It's not Tim. It's us as a community who are here to support.